about my brother, Rob Long. And one of the things I'll miss the most about him is that he is the only person besides my parents that has ever been with me everywhere that we've gone. I grew up in a military family, which was awesome. We loved that. But we moved around all the time, and every 2 to 3 years we had to start over. And Rob was always that friend that I could take with me everywhere I went. And even though I had to start over with everyone else, he was there. And that's probably why we developed such a close brother-sister relationship over the years and had so many stories to share that nobody else will ever know about.
I thought right off the bat that I wanted to be his friend because he looked so cool and so chill. I remember he had a spiky haircut and no one had that haircut at the time, so it was just so cool, especially to me. I was 10 years old at the time. It was 15 years ago. 14 years ago.
Him and Shannon were actually my first friends.
He always said hi to me. He always shook my hand every time he saw me and asked how I was doing.
He was the very first friend to reach out to me, and he was a friend to the end.
Rob was one of the early first people I ever met when I came into this church. I remember that he was one of the people that made me feel welcome.
Thanks, Rob. I mean, I didn't know anybody here yet, and you were probably one of the first people that walked up to me at church, man. You just introduced yourself, and I mean, every time I came back, you were probably the first person I called, and just thanks for being a friend.
Growing up, I had a lot of older people pick on me and treat me differently for just being young, and one thing I remember about Robbie is that he never ever treated me wrongly.
Rob would always, always uplifting and encouraging person. Even more recently, within the past year, even with job situation and stuff, Rob was always talking to me, saying, "Hey, I know about this job. Always trying to, you can get it." Even though I wasn't the best candidate for the job, Rob, kept my hopes up and kept me looking upward instead of looking down.
I always felt like he had a heart for, especially the other young men his own age, to try to draw them in, and kind of the underdogs, who were maybe having trouble themselves.
And he called me up and just encouraged me not to give up on my dream of singing and of worship.
It was just the look on Randy's face when the doctor brought Rob all wrapped up in a little blanket and handed Rob to his dad. I don't think I'll ever forget that. It was such a special, touching moment. And it's one that I have always remembered, and I think it's precious.
He was always very playful. My wife and I would stay usually at the house with the family, and I remember just Robbie running around and smiling and laughing and very playful. And
he was cute. He was funny. We just never knew what we would turn around he would be doing when he was a little one. He was just Rob.
I remember going down to Lubbock and seeing Randy and Sherry and her big sister Shannon, and the cool part now is how neat it's been to see Rob grow up and to actually be a good friend.
I was just especially proud of Robbie because being the firstborn grandson, he just loved to hunt and fish like Grandpa did. And to be able to share that time with him and to see the joy that he had, not only participating in a sport that he really enjoyed, but to be sharing with family.
I want to start out by saying that I'm just thankful that I spent the last 26 years being Robbie's uncle.
I think the thing I'm most thankful for is that recently Jordan was home on leave and John was on Christmas break and Rob was off on New Year's Day holiday, and Randy and Chris and all three boys got to go hunting. And it turns out it was the last hurrah for the 5 of them.
I heard him screaming when he was older. And he had been fishing at the pond, and I knew that, so Grandma went running as fast as I could. And I got out there, and he said, "But Grandma, I'm a bad fisherman. I lost the big one." And he was so sad. It broke my heart because he was so serious. He felt that he was such a bad fisherman because it got away.
I'll always remember the goofiest laugh ever.
And he always made me happy, always made me laugh.
Even when I look at Ava and she smiles and she laughs, it reminds me so much of Robbie because those eyes and how whenever they laugh, they almost kind of go shut.
He always made me laugh, made me smile. Whenever I was down, he always had a joke.
Whenever I was around Robbie, I was always just racing through my mind, like, I've got to get this guy to laugh. If I can get Robbie to laugh, this will be really good.
He always was happy, had this great laugh that let you know that he was there, he was listening, and he cared.
I loved spending time with Rob. I loved it. And he was always fun. We always had a good time. He always was good for a laugh. He always, was good for Will Ferrell quotes.
A couple weeks ago, I rolled down the window and yelled, "Bye, Rob," after church. I just wanted to make sure that he knew how important that he made me feel every time I was around him, and he had a way with people.
Everyone has 20 or 30 just random Rob stories of awesome things that happened, or funny things that happened, or ridiculous things that happened.
I remember one night you and Corey got peanut butter and bananas and pickles, and you guys went out and put peanut butter under my car door handles and pickles everywhere.
Rob, Jesse, Ramage, and I were riding in a truck back to the Long's house, and we were having a blast on the way home, belting out Josh Groban songs. Decided, let's belt it out one more time so Sherry can hear us in the house, and I just belted out the song as loud as we could and just laughed as hard as we could, and went inside, and Sherry said something to the effect of, "Well, that sounded really good, guys." And
stopping at a supermarket and running around on riding a shopping cart like a surfboard, and crashing into the curb, and jumping around in the forest and surprising people, and that's Rob.
I remember he took me up flying, and I was terrified. We're flying around Lee Summit, and he just kind of sat back and took his hands off the sticks and said, "Okay, your turn." We'd get the plane up as high as possible, and he just stalled the engine, and we could just feel the whole plane just drop.
I remember he'd leave sweatshirts and stuff at our house, and we'd fight over who'd get to wear them, act like they were ours, and when Rob took them back, I remember just being like, "Oh man, I wish I had that."
I would say that Rob, one of his biggest influences on me, and I know John, would be his music abilities and inspiring us to actually pursue that. And John's amazing. And he sounds a whole lot like Robbie. Thanks for everything, and say hi to Mom for me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hi, Ava. Your dad was a really good friend. And I remember him describing the day you were born. He said the moment you came out, he about lost it, about passed out. He was so proud. About a year later, I found out that we were about to have Atticus. And I asked him, like, what is it like? How's it, and how's it, like, what's it like in the hospital? Is it okay? Like, I just looking for reassurances, and he told me, he's like, Ava's the best thing that ever happened to my life. He's like, and I know your son will be the best thing to ever happen to you.
It's just awesome too that he has Ava, and that part of Rob gets to grow up and stay with us. And
despite anything that happened, one thing that was always true was Rob loved his daughter Ava
I know it was like probably one of the coolest moments as his sister and announced Ava being born. He was like, I mean, he was in complete shock for one thing.
Yeah. And I remember the day you were born. I won't really cry, Ava. I remember the day you were born. Because I got to be in the room with your mommy and daddy. And oh my, your daddy was so proud and so pleased and happy to hold you for the first time.
He always came home from work, and that was the first thing he did, was set down his stuff and come find you and tickle you and wrestle you around. And he loved you very much, and you were the best thing that ever happened to us.
Hi, Ava. I was your dad's best friend, and it seems the more and more I talk about it, I probably wasn't the only person that thought he was your dad's best friend.
Just a few weeks ago, at a gas station, I was getting gas and he was there. We talked a little bit, and right before he left, he reached over and shook my hand, looked me right in the eyes and said, "Man, Jer, it's always good to see you." And that was Rob. He was just genuine all the time.
He's one of those friends that I always had that no matter how long we were apart, I'd see him again, we'd just hug it out, and it's like we never left.
He was never scared to do anything. He lived life.
Since we were best friends, he was the greatest friend I ever had. And I know he's the greatest friend a lot of people have ever had. Anyone who's close to Rob, I'm sure he was your greatest friend. Just the fact that everyone says the same thing about him is just proof that it was real. Finding a real person like that is so rare. Like, I've never found one as real as Rob. Before now, you could question it because you were not seeing it like you are now. And now you're seeing his friendship and his personality through all these stories and everybody's eyes, through everything, and you realize, wow, that every single word he ever said to me was true, and he believed it.
One of the things about Rob that I think a lot of people saw that maybe he didn't see in himself was so much of my dad.
You know, he was a warrior, just like his dad.
One of my favorite things to do with my brother was to sing with him and do worship with him.
See him on his guitar singing, pouring his heart out.
Rob was someone who could worship and play from his heart, and it just came so naturally to him. It was beautiful.
Coming into those youth services, and just seeing him with that guitar in his hand and worshiping God with his whole heart.
I just have to say that Robbie actually was a mentor to Grandpa in the spiritual realm. I love him so much.
We led a song called Angels Fall Down, and it was extremely powerful, and he just prayed his heart for the people in that congregation.
Angels fall down at the glory of the Lord. The hurt and the broken find rest here. And I saw
he just reached out, and you could see the compassion in him and the friendship in him, as he would be like, he told me, "Come sit in the back." He's like, I'll sit with you in the back because I don't care what anybody thinks. Those words and that compassion and that friendship, that allowed me the strength to walk back through those doors. And when you look at this video and you see me sitting here with my two girls, it could very easily just be me sitting here. Or maybe me not sitting here at all. But this right here, the restoration of this marriage, and the fact that I'm here with my little girl, getting to watch her grow up, and being around her all the time, and watching her grow in the things of God, that's fruit of Robbie Long's life.
I was nervous. I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know, where I was going, and I'm staying in a transient tent with about 5 other guys that I don't know, and I'm not talking to any of them, and I'm nervous. I'm just a young guy that's nervous, that's going into a war zone, and right behind me I hear this distinct laugh that I'll never forget. It'll always stay with me. I knew that laugh. I knew it through basic. I knew it through tech school. And when I turn around, you were there, coming home from Iraq. And all the pressure and nervousness and being scared went away because I saw your face.
He was just a real close friend, kind of almost like a brother. Just good man, close guy, and part of an amazing family that's kind of been just a rock for me for all these years.
I want you to meet my son and my wife so they can meet the person that I knew. And I'm at where I am today because of you. You'll always be my wingman.
It's just crazy because he is more than a friend to me, Claire. Like,
You know?
he's my life. Like, Allah's a part of me. Like,
I know.
I don't even know if you understand that. Like, there's not anyone like that on this earth in my life. Like, no one's ever gonna catch up. But no one's gonna catch up to that. He's so far ahead of everyone else that it's impossible.
If Robbie was here right now, I'd tell him.
That he is great, and that he's touched many people, and he's changed many lives because of who he is.
And he's gonna be missed and loved forever.
And I saw angels fall down at the glory of the Lord. The hurt and the broken find rest here. And I saw angels fall down at the beauty of my Lord. And as I
Hi, Ava. I hope that I'll be sitting with you as you watch all of this going on to know who your daddy was. You know that he was a great man after you've seen all the things that people have said about him. And what I want you to know most is if you want to know your daddy, look at your grandpa. Because he's the one your daddy's the most like. I love you, honey.
Perfectly safe right here, and I fall down, afraid and shaking here, and I fall down, perfectly safe right